Hello from the studio. Let me turn this down a little bit. I'm sure I'm busting everybody's ears. There you go. I was busting mine too. I don't know what happened there. Cat must have got in and messed with my volume controls, but glad to be here tonight with you. This is, I think it says our 20th show. Pretty wild. This pandemic, it helped me get through it, and I hope it helped you get through it, being able to come over here and tune in at night. Get my microphone a little more straight. Let's see. There we go. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. There we go. There we go. That'll work. I think it will. I spend all this time trying to get this stuff ready, and it never works. All right, we got it. Hello, Lynn. Lynn Skaggs, glad to have you on tonight. Looks like we've got everything in line. We got before I tell you about our guy we got coming in, it's been a busy day around here. Cool thing going on is my son plays with Del Bradley, and they just hit the road tonight to go do a concert. So it's good to know the bluegrass is coming back a little bit. And I know my buddy Alan Bobby's playing this weekend with his band Grasstown. So a lot of good stuff going on. It's good to see things opening back up, because I don't know, I think it'll make us appreciate things a lot more. It sure does me, because I'm excited about the fact that maybe it's going to start back up. And glad to have Danny Bivens with us tonight. Let's see, what have I done today? I've done a lot of stupid things today. I was trying to put some striping on my truck, and anyway, I made it way too hard. I went through all this stuff, and I gave up, and I come in the house, and what do? Go to YouTube, watch the video. I worked on it like 3 hours. I went out there, and I was done. I was done in probably 2 minutes, and anyway, it's just one of the things I should have stayed in the house. Been one of those days. Do have a good shirt on here. A lot of you folks may not be familiar with Caswalker Supermarket. Get my bust your ear with that microphone, but Caswalker show was where Dolly Parton she first played, and it's a kind of a landmark. It was a landmark around here. They closed them all down years ago, and Kaz passed away, but Kaz Walker had a show that come on in the morning, and Albert Stiles just popped up. I bet Albert watched the Kaz Walker show, but that was a good show. It come on about 6 in the morning, and I remember getting up and watching it, and Kaz was over the top. He would come in wearing he liked to coon hunt, and he'd bring his dogs and everything to the studio and have them ready, and he'd have he'd wear a suit all the time, but by the last song, he'd done traded into his coon hunting clothes, and he was going coon hunting. But Kaz, he was one of a kind, and I know I spoke to Dolly Parton at the IBMA several years back about Kaz, and she just went off talking about him, asking about him and everything, which at that time he was at a nursing home. But anyway, he was a good one. I had to break out his shirt tonight. My buddy Russ Farmer just signed on. Russ, you coming over to learn some fiddle tonight, I bet. We got the fiddle man coming on tonight. I got to lean back here a little bit. My back is gone today as part of the things I've been doing. And anyway, Stuart Duncan. Stuart Duncan is, if I had to look at it this way, Tony Rice, the guitar, that's my favorite guitar guy. J.D. Crowe on the banjo, that's my favorite guy right there. You can go on through to all of them. You can go through, Ricky Skaggs, Doyle Lawson, whoever on the mandolin, Sam Bush, a great one, of course. But, when you get over talking about fiddle players, the Tony Rice equivalent on that, I've always thought was Stuart Duncan. And Stuart's just an incredible player. He plays about all the sessions in town in Nashville. And I'm just so glad to have him on tonight. I don't think he does this much. And I've been lucky to have him on several of our records. He was on a song called California Cotton Fields off my record in 2004 that won Instrumental Album of the Year. And that song stayed on the chart a long time. Stuart Duncan made the song even better. And he's played on some Grasstown stuff. He's played on the All Stars thing recently, and he's been on a bunch of stuff. But everybody loves Stuart Duncan. I'm a big fan of his from a long time back. See who else is over here? Ray Collette, glad to have you. Hey, Jamie Boer, miss you and love you too, man. I was thinking about you today for some reason. I know what it was. I was watching a thing, a Tough Man contest, and I was wondering if Joe was still doing that. And I was thinking about him, thought about you. So anyway, buddy, glad to have you on tonight. I'd like to come and see you or hook up sometime and visit now that things are getting better. Good to have you on, buddy. Jamie was our bass player with Grasstown for a long time. Well, we wasn't around for a long time, but about the whole duration he played. And I had a lot of good times with him, a great bass player and singer, and from up in Johnson City way. And it's good to have him on. Ray Collette, Colonial Heights, glad to have you on. Let's see, who else? Danny Bivens, he is the GOAT. Yeah, he is, sure is. Jared Hall, glad to have you on tonight, buddy. And let's see, Jesse Jeffries, just seen a video with Butch Robbins and Larry Stevenson live in Japan with an awesome Japanese dobro player. Wondered if you heard of him. I don't know. I don't know if it's somebody they took with them or somebody they borrowed or something, but I don't know. I don't have that. I don't have that one. But you might do a little research and find out who it is. Let's see, Jamie, sure is, man. Thanks for kind words. Hey, I mean all that. And you tell Joe I said hello, and tell Joe that I love him dearly because I sure don't want to make him mad. He has got to be a big guy. Now he's got all muscled up doing that fighting UFC stuff. He's a bad man. But tell him I said hey for sure, and hey Jamie, tell your parents I said hello too, and good to have you on. Brian Ayers, hope you're feeling better. I'm doing better. I've had I've had 3 surgeries since the last time I saw you guys. For cancer, I had some malignancies and. I'm always open with you guys. I don't see no reason to hide stuff, but I had 3 malignancies, and they were able to get them all this week, and they wound up 2 of them are clear, and we're waiting on the other one. But the ones I was absolute sure was cancer was the ones that were clear. So that's a good thing. If I can just get good word back on this other one, it'll be all right. But thanks, Brian, for asking, and I appreciate you. And like I both said, I share what goes on with me because I don't think things are a secret. I don't think things are a curse. And, it may just be somebody listening tonight that, knows somebody or whatever that's been diagnosed recently. And sometimes I think to see me doing good, doing this for 10 years, coming back and coming back and coming back, I think it gives some people a little hope that maybe, cancer's not the end of life anymore. It's came a long way. So, the only thing you have to do is get your marbles together quick. You don't have a lot of time to think about it with this stuff, and get to a doctor and get to a good doctor. That's my recommendation. Get to a good GOD doctor. It's where you want to go. I always tell people, unless you live in a big town like Nashville or Louisville or Atlanta, something like that, all these little local hospitals have their own cancer doctors, and that's all fine. But you know, you only get one shot with this stuff, and I tell everybody, you know, wherever you live, you're in a small town, not in a small town, but get out of there, get to a place that does cancer treatment, places that have big facilities. That's what you need. You know, the equipment it takes to really work with cancer, small hospitals can't afford it, and by the time they run through everything, you know, your chances get slim. So get on top of that if you ever have cancer. Small town, get out. I'm sure there's some fine doctors in your town, but you got to go to a place that really does specialize in this stuff. It sees a lot of it. That's where you need to go. But anyway, wanted to get off on that for just a minute. I always do occasionally. Brian Ayers, hope you're feeling good. I already read that one once, and I'll read it again. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Janet Lee. Hey, Phil. Hey, Janet. And Kimberly. And Clamola Mealy, it looks like. Praying for you, Phil. Thank you so much, Kimberly. I appreciate that. Lynn Lawson, good news. Still praying for you, Phil. I know you are. That's been one good thing about Facebook. And I'll tell you this, I won't get too far into this, but you know, a lot of people will get sick and they'll say, don't tell nobody. Don't let anybody know this. And I always thought, you don't need to be ashamed if you have cancer. That's something that happens. And I got on Facebook the day I found out 10 years ago I had it. And everybody said, oh, why are you doing that? And I said, I want as many people praying for me as I can get. Why just tell a few people? Because, I know all your prayers are heard, whether it's 4 or 5, but when you can get thousands of people praying for you, that's the big thing, because when you're in bed at night, you got people on the other side of the world praying for you and stuff. And I'm not ashamed that I had cancer or have cancer. It's nothing that, nothing that you bring on yourself, really. It just happens. And I've never smoked or drank ever. When I was younger, I probably drank a few beers or whatever, but I've never smoked, never was what I would say anyone who consumed alcohol regular. It still got me. It doesn't matter. I know a lot of people that drink all the time and are healthy as they can be. You just never know. Just be ready if it does happen, and have your plan. And first plan for me was to let people know and get prayers, go and get a prayer chain. And I got one on Facebook like super quick. So don't be afraid to do that if you get sick. We all don't mind to pray for you. So be sure and check that out. If you get sick, check out Facebook. Not a bad place to put things out there. Let's see, Jesse Jeffries. Oh gosh, I can't pronounce that dobro player's name. Kazuyoshi Tagami. Tagami. It was the dobro player's name that they were looking for. I'll have to look at that and look him up. Let's see, always better to be lifted up as many times as possible, Brian Ayers said, and I agree with that. Really does help to be lifted up. And said, if you ever heard of him, listen sometime. I'll pull up something on him. John Deal, the live shows, Stuart Duncan with Tony Rice and the rest of the acoustic all-stars at the Birchmere, legendary. My prayers with you, Phil. Thank you, John. I saw some of those videos and they're killer. I mean, my gosh. You throw Allison in there, and Allison is always. I'm a good buddies with Ricky Wasson, and Ricky knows Allison real well. And anyway, he told me that she just flips over Stuart Duncan when she hears him play. And there's some videos of her and Tony Rice, and Stuart's in the studio, and you can just see her grin when Stuart does a solo. But shoot, I grin too. I really like that guy. Really like him. But we're going to have him on in just a few minutes. Let's see. Amy Salinger says, "Amen, brother. I totally agree. Just because we're Christians, still can have bad things happen to us." But that's exactly right. Exactly right. And Danny Bivens still praying for you. Thank you, buddy. Crazy Quinn, hey Phil, from all of us at Strictly Country Magazine. Hey, glad to have you. That's a really good magazine. I've checked it out several times. I've been in there a few times and appreciate what you guys do, and hope you keep that up. Strictly Country Magazine. Be sure and check that out, any of you folks on there. And Rich Cooper, good evening, Mr. Ledbetter. Oh, that's my daddy. I'm Phil. No, that's fine, buddy. I appreciate it. I go to dialysis, and everybody over there's got a first name, but I'm still Mr. Ledbetter, so I guess I must be the oldest one there, or something. But anyway, thank you, Rich. And my buddy again tonight, Tracy Milligan. Always in my prayers, my friend. Stay strong. As I mentioned, every time she's on here, she was one of my very first nurses 10 years ago, and she's still my nurse today. We both moved around different facilities. She went to another one, I went to another one. Now we're both at UT. So anytime I see her, I know it's going to be a good day. She's a great nurse, along with a few others of the ones from that time frame. Really love you, Tracy. Appreciate you. Gracie Quinn, thank you. You rock too. Thanks there, Gracie. And let's see, my buddy Bobby Wright. Bobby Wright's the dobro guru that can make dobros just sound the best, and he sets up all of mine. And I don't know what I'm going to do when I can't get a guitar into to Bobby. He lives over on near Hatteras. But he's worth the drive. I know that. He can get those things sounding great. And he says always in his prayers, thanks, bud. Let's hook up soon somewhere. If you're ever down this way, I'd like to see you. And Randy Green, evening, Phil. Glad to have you on tonight. We got a few people in. I know we got a lot of Stuart Duncan fans tuning in. And I don't know who I'm going to have next week, but I've got a couple of ideas. Who I may have. I may recruit one tonight that I know of. And if not, I've got another one that I'm looking at. And these are two very famous banjo players. So that'll get Charlie Hall in here early, because Charlie's the banjo man. So yeah, I'm looking at two banjo players right now for next week. And very, very famous folks. Great players, and by the end of the night we may know one. And if not, I will know something tomorrow, and it'll be on my Facebook page. And I want to mention, anything that's ever been on this show, you can go to YouTube and watch it. It really does good if you are, because it gives me more views, and it just helps things a lot with stuff. Maybe they'll start doing some ads on there and things, but go over there and check them out. And even if you saw them before, go over there to YouTube and go through there and just click on all my videos, click like on all of them, and that helps me a lot. But they're all on there. It's under Phil Ledbetter channel, and it's easy to find. And after tonight, when I get Stuart's on there, we'll have 20 videos on. So be sure and check those out. I like having you on Thursday nights, because we get to talk, and I get to see the counter over here and all that, and all that, but when you go to YouTube, you're not able to talk or anything. But, if you miss it, that's a good place to go check it out. And let's see here. Randy Green, evening, Phil. Thanks, Randy. And another Randy Brewer, enjoying these interviews. Well, thanks, buddy. Sometimes I just don't know. I try to watch other people's stuff to pick something up, and I guess I'm just too simple about talking. I can't talk to people like a news person. I talk to them more like my buddies, because, they're my friends, and I try to just talk to them that way. and I hope it's coming out good. I want it to. We're getting a lot of people interested and people wanting to be on the show, so that's good. And Danny Bivens just told me today is Charlie Hall's birthday, Banjo Charlie. So Charlie, happy birthday to you. And when I see you the next time, hopefully we'll go out to dinner somewhere and you can buy me a steak and everything else. And no, I'll treat you. We'll hook up somewhere. May even go by and get J.D. Crow with us. He's always ready to go out and eat. So happy birthday to you, Charlie. But yeah, thanks again, Randy, for that. That's very nice. And I try to keep a step ahead. And what's going on right now, I've got so many people that's been wanting to do the show, and I'm trying to move things around a little bit. But we've got a long supply of people that we're going to have on, top-rated players, people, like last week we had Greg Gritch. Greg's more in the building end and design and all. But I think all those people are important for you to know a little bit about. And just like, all the people we've had in the past, people that's got a good background, and you find out, hey, they're okay folks, hadn't talked to them, but they're good people. I think Stuart's running a little late on us tonight. If he don't call us in about 5 minutes, I'm going to call him up. And, I might as well go ahead and call him up now. Let me get over here to the old phone just a minute. Just a minute. I mean, we're always professional here. You see this, sitting here making calls. Let me see. 1 minute. Let's see. Okay. Let me try this again. Just read this part about the link. Wait a minute. Let's see. Let me dial him up here. We'll get him. Getting through one of these numbers. I know that. That's what happens when you're a famous fiddle player. You got all these phone numbers. Give me just a minute. Hey, is this Stuart?
Yeah.
Hey, Stuart, feel that better. Hey,
You don't use this phone.
oh, I don't, or you don't?
We don't use this phone for anything. It's a flip phone. I can't even hardly hear you.
Oh, is that right? Well,
That's why Dita gave you my number, and then I just fixed it.
oh, okay. Well, can you call me on that phone?
Well, I can call the number that you texted me from.
Yeah, that's it. Call me right back.
I'll try.
Thanks, bye. Stuart's still using a flip phone. I didn't know they still made those. Did not know they still made flip phones. See if he dials in now on us. Let me turn everything up. He may be trying to get us on a rotary phone. That'd be kind of funny, wouldn't it? If he calls in, they had some phone changes or something going on, and hopefully he'll be able to get me here in just a minute, and we'll be able to talk. So anyway, all right. I thought he'd be calling by now. It's just a little mess up, but he'll be dialing, so we'll make him stay a lot longer if he's running late. But I'll read some more stuff here from the side here. Jesse Jeffries got my wife on board that the Thursday nights or Uncle Phil night won't be available. Laughing out loud. Nice show. Thanks, bud. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. I bet I know who that is. Hey, Stuart.
Hey,
Is that better?
I believe I can hear you better.
Oh, good. I can hear you pretty good. So, how's that? Is that good?
Yeah.
Good. Man, everybody here tonight, they thought that I had faked them off. That they said, Stuart ain't going to do your show. And I thought for a minute they had. But glad to have you on tonight, buddy.
Yeah, you must not have gotten my text or something. But
I don't know. I just got in. Did you send me one recently tonight?
Yeah, about just a few minutes after 7
Oh,
Central.
okay. Are you okay to do the show? I've not seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, good. But you
What
know,
do you want to talk about?
well, hey, we do. We were going to talk first of all about me turn down this microphone of mine. I'm killing myself.
Are you on like a speakerphone thing?
No, I've got a clip on that
I see.
that I use. So yeah, no, you're not on speaker or anything. I've got you hooked directly. We're in the big time here trying to move. We just moved past the 8-track tapes, so we're getting there.
Yeah, I hear you.
We're doing good, man. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit, and then we want to talk about some other good things. But you're from Santa Paula, California, is that right?
That was where I went to high school.
Went to high school.
Yep.
How long did you live there, Stuart?
I guess about 4 years.
And then did you go to Nashville right after that?
I went to hold on, let me get I'm gonna get some headphones
Sure.
with a phone attachment.
Sure. You do what you
Hooked up
need.
here. But yeah, right after that, I graduated. Can you hear me now? Pretty good.
Yeah, I can hear you good.
I
Say something.
graduated
There you
from
go.
high school a year early to go to South Plains College in West Texas for a year.
That's the Alan
And
Mundy School, right? Or used to
Yeah,
be?
Alan was there like the year after I was there. It's like I missed him by 1 year kind of thing, which is too bad. But and I kind of was not the stellar student that everyone was hoping that I would be. Kind of just wanted to play music, and
I understand.
although what I did gain from that experience was a greater awareness of microphone techniques and studio stuff, which would serve me well later in Nashville. So.
Well, not to change subjects, but talking about microphones, I've saw some of your microphone work. I was watching watching Hot Rise. You guys were doing Wichita Lineman, and you magically changed microphones in the middle of your solo. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you're talking about the Hot Rise show,
Yeah.
the 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
So
They started you. It looked like your solo, but you started on an SM58, and the next part you were on some other kind of studio-looking mic, and the next part of your solo. And I said, "Wow, Stuart has been able to change microphones completely and not miss a lick." So,
wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Hey,
I didn't realize I had done that.
hey, check it out, buddy. You're magic. But yeah, it's funny. I don't guess anybody noticed it, but I've watched that clip so much. I mean, I love your fiddle solo on that, and I loved everything that you guys played that night. That was a great concert that I've watched a lot. But anyway, didn't mean to sidetrack, but
No, that's funny. I didn't notice that.
yeah, be sure and check it out. You might need to sue Tim O'Brien or something. He might have some money sitting back for you. But
Well, I do remember that they were filming more than one night there,
right,
and so I did wear the same jacket both nights. But for it to matter, they would have to have the same microphone too.
yeah, I just thought it's funny. I know how they do that. That those shows, you'll do several cuts on things, but I just thought that was funny that that I was probably one of the only people who noticed that. I said, "Huh, they started Stuart out on a SM58, and it was like they clipped for just a second over at somebody, and they clipped back, and you're on this other mic I couldn't recognize." But
Yeah.
that's pretty cool anyway. But you were talking about that you learned a whole lot about microphones and miking and all that stuff when you were at
Right.
South Plains.
I would. What I'd be interested in is if you could hear any difference in audio, or did they take the audio from just the latter of the two
Oh yeah.
and dub in the video from the previous night because it was a better shot? Or
No,
whatever?
it was the audio was
Right.
the same on that, and it sounded
That's-
really
That's
good.
what happens these
Yeah,
days.
yeah. Well, it sounded great. It was a good way to fly it in. It's harder to fly stuff in on video though. Sometimes they forget.
Well,
You know.
It's an odd thing, and it's kind of it's a little bit irksome for me, having dealt with putting together a live video for the Go Rodeo sessions,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and the struggle we went through to come up with a live performance DVD back 9 years ago when we did the first volume of that.
I tell
And
you
then
what.
last year when we were doing the Zoom meetings.
Well,
It was a little bit better. I don't know whether or not it was better technology and syncing, or just different people involved. I have no idea what made it easier. But it seems like we've gone backwards in time as far as technology goes, making it easy to sync up audio and video. Back in the day, the record heads were lined up on one machine, and you either did it that way live or you did a pre-record.
Right. Well, this sounded great, man. What you guys did, and anybody that's not saw the 40th anniversary Hot Rise? Was that it?
Right.
Yeah. Was that was at the Boulder Theater, wasn't it?
Indeed, it was.
Yep. Great place. You guys, anybody, get on YouTube and check that out, man. It's pretty awesome. Well, let me ask you a couple things here. The first time I saw you, don't remember where I was living, but I had saw a commercial. I think it was a KFC commercial. Didn't you do some of those and some with Allison Brown around that time?
I did a KFC commercial when I was 13, and I was holding a banjo in the commercial.
You were like a Huck Finn type.
Yeah, country boy with his feet in the river, and eating chicken with his father, who was fishing at the time.
Yeah, I remember that.
You never guess. When I showed up there, I thought, wow, this guy that's going to play my dad, he sure looks familiar. And he sticks out his hand and said, "Hello, I'm Doug Dillard."
Wow.
and I'm holding a banjo, right? Yeah, that's how LA was back in the 70s. You just never know what's going to happen.
You never do. Did you get to meet the Colonel on that? Was he still living at that time?
Yeah, he was there, and he was he was extremely old at the time. But yeah, I did meet him, and I got a bunch of pictures with him and all that kind of thing.
Was he a pretty cool guy?
He didn't say much.
Huh.
He grumbled a lot, and they had to keep reminding him to smile.
He's all about chicken. That's it. He's all about chicken.
He was about getting the photo shoot over and get back to the hotel. It seemed like.
No doubt about that. Did you guys shoot that in California?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, well, that's cool, man. Now, you moved to Nashville to join the Nashville Bluegrass Band, or you moved down there just to be starting a career? Did you have the gig with them when you moved down?
No, not really. I did do a gig with them shortly after at late hours at the Canal Street Tavern after we had done the Don Reno benefit. The second Don Reno benefit, maybe? No, the first.
Okay.
So 1984.
Wow.
And I was there, and I saw I guess Newgrass Revival with Bela for the first time. He was there, and I saw Pete Rowan. I was introduced to Pete, and was introduced to the newly formed Nashville Bluegrass Band, and that was one of the stops on the end of their tour, their first tour that they did without me. And so I just got in a jam with those guys, and so Pete invited me over to sit in with him at the Canal Street later that night. So we all went, Nashville Bluegrass Band and myself, all went down and played with Pete Rowan. So that's kind of where that started. And then flash forward a couple of months, and I had, at the urgings of Pete that night and Bela the next day, had moved to Nashville, even though I was technically still working with Larry Sparks at the time.
I didn't know you worked with Sparks.
Yeah, I worked with Sparks for a year during that time period, 84.
Okay.
And so I was living in Eastern Kentucky, and they said, you should move to Nashville. You know, Bela said, I've done Lexington. You should move to Nashville.
Yeah.
And so I did. And even though I was still working with Larry, and then my best friend Nick Haney from the band Lost Highway, he was the best man at my wedding. He was getting married. And I called Larry and said, I need this weekend off. My best friend's getting married. He wants me to be best man in his wedding. And Larry, I think Larry, maybe, I don't know if he thought he was doing me a favor or whatever, but he said, well, why don't you just quit? I'll get somebody else. And you've moved to Nashville. You don't need to be driving all the way up here. You should just quit. Dang. Okay.
I mean, that's a pretty big thing. Your best buddy getting married.
Says that, I'm not sure what the answer is, other than, all right, well, I'll come up and get my stuff.
Yeah.
But it all worked out, and I was in Nashville Bluegrass Band like 3 or 4 weeks after that.
And you joined in '85, I think I saw that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Man, that's a long time.
Come on now, go easy on me.
Well, it's not been a long time in dog years, but it's been a long time in people years.
No, I mean, it's hilarious. It's hilarious to have reached the plateau that I have of realizing that I now sound, when I talk about that time period, I sound just like Roland White sounds to me when he's talking about the late 30s and early 40s. The late 40s, I'm like, the late 40s?
Oh, yeah, I know.
It just sounds like that's like something out of a movie, but...
Oh, I know, man. You talk to some of these young kids now. I was talking to, do you know Corey Walker, this around town banjo player? I've known Corey and his family. I've known Corey since he was maybe 9, something like that. And his granddad played, and his dad played, and the boys, Corey and Jerry, that plays now with Billy Strings, they were just getting started. So, you'd be talking about a little story like, seeing Boone Creek or seeing somebody like that. And they'd say, when was that? And say, saw them first time in '78. And it was like their mouth dropped open like, man, did they have cars back then and stuff, And
how did you get there?
Yeah, how did you get there? And what really blew their mind is I told them that I had recorded most of all the shows, and they said, cool, did you record those on I think it was like thumb drives or something? I said, no, it was like or back then it wasn't thumb drives with Corey and them. They would asked if I had recorded onto a CD or something for a Walkman, and it's like, no, man, these are on cassette tapes, and they just kind of look like, man, what in the world is that? And we're part of that next generation that's moving out, I guess, to let some of these new guys in. But there's a lot of talent right now with all these kids and stuff. It just amazes me.
Me too.
Let's get in some other stuff here. I used to work with Ricky Wass, and Ricky because you've been playing with Ricky. And Ricky always talked about, because Ricky knew Allison real well, and he always talked about Allison, that you were Allison's favorite fiddle player. And I always thought that was pretty cool to, do that. And then you did the Robert Plant tour with her, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, Allison's been super kind to me in interviews, I must say. And she sounds genuine about it.
Well, yeah, sure.
So that feels pretty good to have somebody that is that much of a performer like what you do. You know,
Oh yeah, definitely,
I can't complain
definitely.
about that. And apparently, it looks like I'll be doing another tour with Robert and Allison coming
Oh
up
man,
possibly next year.
that's great. That's awesome. How many pieces are in their band when you guys go out? What do you carry?
How? Well, I don't know what the
what
next one will be.
what'd you carry last time?
It was Buddy Miller on guitars and
Mm-hmm.
steel on a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Belrose on drums.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Crouch on bass.
Pretty good lineup right there.
Myself on guitars and some banjo,
Mm-hmm.
long neck banjo, electric guitar,
You play
and
about it. You play about
vocals,
everything, man. Did
acoustic guitar too.
What was your first
Um,
instrument? A fiddle?
well, sort of. My dad had I still have it, a long neck banjo, a Gibson long neck,
Uh-huh.
and that was his banjo. And my mom had a classical guitar, and so I messed around with both of those things a little bit, but and probably more the banjo than anything else.
Well, your mom and dad were folk musicians, weren't they?
Not in any kind of professional way,
Okay.
but they were music enthusiasts enough that they knew folk songs and had like a big library of vinyl from the folk and Irish and Scottish ballad kind of thing that was happening in the 60s.
That sure helps out having parents that has that much music to listen to. You know,
Yeah.
that's really cool about that. Um, but speaking of Allison, let me see here. I wrote myself a note on a few things here. I had to, but some of the people you've played and recorded with. I know you've done stuff with George Strait, and you've done stuff with Reba, and you've done a bunch of stuff with Dolly. Who's some of the other people that you've played with, and I normally would say who do you enjoy the most, but I don't want to get no fight going down in Nashville, so I'll just ask you who some of the other people you've played with.
Well, let's see. Um, I'm pretty proud of having done, I think 4 different George Jones records.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I did the last George and Tammy record
Wow.
they did.
Well, man, you're the guy in town, Stuart. I mean,
I've done a lot of stuff with Marty Stewart, including one with Merle Haggard and Marty together.
Wow.
That was fun.
What was Merle like?
Merle was crusty and kind of a little bit, just a touch arrogant, but maybe, to him it was more like he wanted to take charge of the song,
Sure.
and Marty had wanted it to be a duet, like you would want to.
Sure.
Like you wrote a song and you want Hag to sing on it, but you want to sing it too. And Hag kind of took, Marty, why don't you just let me sing this?
Just change it up, yeah.
And so Marty just let him sing it and then put his part on later.
You did some stuff that I had saw with Barbara Streisand.
I did one song with Barbara.
Well, that's enough. That's pretty good. Well, was it on one of her albums?
It was, yes. It was an album from, I want to say mid 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And she, I guess her husband, James, does that sound right?
I don't know. I've not been in that center of royalty.
Yeah, I don't know things, but her husband had heard a George Strait cut that I played on.
Mm-hmm.
We must have been loving, right? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so long.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Franklin and myself were asked to come out and be a part of the session.
Mm-hmm.
Because we'd played on George's record, and she wanted those exact players if she could get them.
Gotcha.
And Tony Brown had produced the record, so she asked Tony to come out and produce her cut on that particular song. So the three of us flew out together to Capitol Records and did that.
That is cool. Did you get to meet her, was you there the day she wasn't?
Oh yeah, she was there. She did.
Really?
She did. She ran it down with us. Learned it. We tried it in 4 different keys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we spent the whole day working on it.
Was she pretty cool?
Yeah, she was great.
Man, it's good when you hear about people at that level that are are good
Yeah.
folks. I kind of figured she was just for some reason.
Yeah, she's fine.
You played some cool stuff with Dolly Parton over the years.
I've been blessed to be a part of anything Dolly, and for her to like up and do those 2 bluegrass records that are so good.
Oh yeah,
And
sure.
to be a part of those was just a magical thing. It's like,
Well, she grew
wow,
she grew up in
if
that
nothing else
stuff.
happened in my career, just that'd be all right.
You know what's funny? I mean, she's from about she's probably from about 20 miles from where I live, and the theme park in Dollywood. I worked there years ago when it was just a small place, and I still remember it was called Gold Rush Junction back then, and I still remember when it went to Silver Dollar City. I remember they kept us all late one night. They shut the park down, but they kept everybody. And her bus came in and some other people, and she came and looked over the park, and it was like next year we heard she was buying it. So, that place it's huge. I'm sure you've been up there in the last few years, but it just keeps getting bigger. She keeps adding 20, 30 acres at a time up there, and she's got all that property because it's nothing but mountains. But Dolly, for all she's done, she's stayed very humble, and
well, she is has so much energy, and yet is this beautiful person that you can look up to.
Exactly. Jerry Douglas was telling me about what a good cook she was. That she would bring you guys over and cook you Italian, or maybe she cooked it for him or whatever. But he was talking about what a good cook.
What she brought in, the most memorable thing that she brought in was chicken and dumplings.
Mm-hmm.
She'd made. So my wife is an amazing cook,
Mm-hmm.
Dita had made some. How long to see? I have letters from Dolly about this. She personally wrote me letters after Dita had made something and brought it to.
That's cool.
Brought it to the studio.
That is cool.
Here is it. Hey Stuart, I'm still reeling from your reels yesterday. Seriously, you played great. Also, I'm still reeling from the strawberry jam I had for breakfast. I think you might be getting outshined by your wife. Be sure to thank her for me. It was spectacular. I was going to try to spread it out over a few days, but I ate the whole jar for breakfast. Love Dolly.
That's funny. Well, those Smoky Mountain people up this way, they don't care to eat a whole jar of jelly once. That's called a side entree. If you went to Cracker Barrel, what do you want? Couple eggs. It comes with 2 sides. Give me hash browns and a jar of jelly. And
Right.
That's the way. I mean, they eat in bulk down here. But that's a cool story. I remember seeing you guys with Dolly on the ACM with I guess it was Chris Thiele and Brian Sutton and gosh, can't remember who else, but man, you guys killed it that night. I think you guys did. Oh gosh, what was it? Think of the name of it in a few minutes. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't matter. But it was just really incredible. All you guys were really busting it, and I thought it was really cool that Dolly, being who she was, came all the way over to you in the middle of the song and announced to the crowd that you had won Fiddle Player of the Year and stuff. And that's pretty cool. She don't have to do things like that.
Yeah,
And-
she's so generous.
Yeah.
Speaking of generous people, another person I've done a lot of road time with and a lot of recording with, and it's not even up on like if you look me up on Wikipedia, it doesn't even like mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
But Lyle Lovett.
Oh yeah,
He's one of the most
heard
generous people you could ever like spend time with. It's
I
amazing.
have heard that about him. And I've saw him live a couple of times, and he puts on a really good show. You
Yeah,
know,
it's amazing. Yeah, it's really he spent a long time honing that show.
oh yeah,
Uh,
well, you can tell. I mean, it's it, I saw him at the Tennessee Theater here in town, and it was like, I didn't expect it because he was just, it seemed like it was music from front to back. It was just really, really a good night to be there watching that, and for my first time seeing him. But you toured with Emmy Lou some, didn't you?
oh, I did a tour with Mark Knopfler and Emmylou Harris.
Man, that's
It was on a world tour. It was we went all over the place.
what's Mark Knopfler like?
He's really cool.
Man, I love his playing.
Yeah, I mean he's a humble, quiet guy,
Mm-hmm.
but has like a lot of British musicians, Robert Plant included.
Mm-hmm.
He's an archivist and digs deep into the American catalog, much like the Brits all did in the
Mm-hmm.
60s and 70s, right?
Sure, sure.
So he's like super knowledgeable about really obscure things that we know very little about, if at all.
Yeah, definitely. He's killer. Now, let me ask you. You won 2 or 3 Grammys. I know you won a couple with the
Grammys. Yes, I have 4 Grammys here.
4. So you had 2. Did you have 2 or 3 with the Nashville Bluegrass Band?
Yeah. Let's see.
Pretty good, and you have to stop and think about it.
Well, I'm looking here. Yeah, 2 with Nashville Bluegrass Band, 1 with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou,
Yeah.
and 1 for the Goat Rodeo 2012
Right. Wow.
folk records.
Those are cool. Right there. Was that who all was involved on the Goat records?
Well, that's if you mean the personnel in the band, it's Yo-Yo Ma, Edgar
Mm-hmm.
Meyer, Chris Thiele, and Aoife O'Donovan.
Right.
Myself.
Did you won how many with them? Did you say 1 or 2?
1.
1? Yeah. Wow. I'd saw
It won 2 Grammys.
1, 2. Okay. Wow.
It did. I have 1 Grammy.
Okay.
The other Grammy was won by for Best Engineering.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, that's cool. That's a. I saw that tonight. I was just looking through trying to remember some stuff, and I saw you guys had toured, and man, I have to check some of that out because I remember, when you guys got the Grammy and everything for that, and I'll have to check that out. But now,
Right. It was produced by Steve Epstein, and the engineer was Richard King.
well, that's good stuff right there. Well, I'll check that out tonight.
And as it was the new one that we just did, that was released this past July, that we were unable to tour, so did Zoom. We got together on Zoom and did a three song thing about that.
That's cool. It's about that.
From
It seems like it's trying to open back up where we can get back out and play again a little bit. It's a good feeling anyway. And
well, that's the plan. Is that the Goat Rodeo is going to tour again in August.
oh, okay, good. Are you going to come through Knoxville or anything?
I have no idea.
They'll just call you when they're ready to go, I guess.
Well,
I'll let you know.
I don't think they've put everything in place.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question now. I had. Oh yeah, I know what I wanted to ask you. You was talking about the old brother. Did you guys go just to a studio and cut those tracks, or were you? I know that I was playing with the Whites at that time, and I know Sharon and Cheryl went. They had parts in it, and I didn't know if you got to be on set to watch them do this, or
No, all I was a part of because I was because I was out on the road with Lyle at the time.
Okay.
I wasn't able to be a part of the movie part, even though I was asked to be. I only did the soundtrack of the Soggy Bottom Boys and a few other things in the studio.
Wow, that's big stuff there. Now that won the Grammy, but you said, right?
Yes.
Well, it's good stuff to be on right there, buddy. That's really good. And it's funny. When I was with J.D. Crowe, me and Ricky Wasson were riding, and our mandolin player took off, and Dan Tominski had come and filled in with us, and he was talking about this movie, movie track he was going to be doing. I think that I don't remember all the details, but I guess he was recording with Tim Austin at the time at Dubuchet, and he was talking about going, I guess, to Nashville or whatever the next morning and working on this, and nobody really had, in the car had any kind of idea, even Dan, I don't think, of what this was going to turn out to be. I mean, it's such a big cult following now.
Right.
So, I'll tell you what we're going to get to. We got some mail here, people wanting to ask some letters, some things to you, and then I want to ask you a few other things. Let's see. Oh, wait just a minute. There's some here for you.
You got some hate mail for me?
Oh, there's a lot of hate mail. We're going to skip that. Yeah, this we don't want to hear this. Yeah, we'll pass that. No, Randy Brewer, it's on here a lot. He said he saw Stuart the first time around 1980 with Larry Sparks and the Lonesome Ramblers, and I've been the night he fired you. I mean, or let you go forever. You know,
it wasn't that early, but
he's making you older than you are. But
yeah, I believe you're right about that.
You're still in high school then, I imagine.
I was.
Yeah, I got out in '80. You're about 2 years younger than me, I imagine. I'm 59. You're about 56, 57, somewhere in that range.
You got it.
All right. Well, you fessed up to your age. That's good. Mark Eaton said, Phil, can you please ask Stuart what it was like when he toured with Mark Knopfler a number of years ago? We already did that. Let's see what else. I saw the tour stop in Berkeley. Saw you in Berkeley. He's a big Knopfler fan, and Emmy Lou was on board as well. I understand Mark runs a class operation, and I'm curious. Well, let's see what else. Let me open this up. It says, I'm curious how it differed from touring with bluegrass outfits. Speaking of Peter Rowan, it didn't happen last July due to the pandemic, but most years we go to see Pete's birthday bash in Marin County, near San Francisco. So he wrote you a big note there that you probably know a lot of that stuff, and we already talked about Mark Knopfler a little bit. So
yeah, well, I can answer that question real easily. As far as Mark and other people I've toured with, like Elvis Costello and Diana Krall, the big difference is that they're booking huge auditoriums and they're filling them, and they're paying you really good money.
Oh yeah, sure. That's
a big difference.
Sure, big difference.
The other part we talked about is that they're really good people, which is great.
Yeah,
it
makes it
super good people, and I couldn't be luckier to have spent multiple months with them.
Well,
doing the road.
People sometimes that have a different perception of people who are in a different thing. Let's just say like Barbra Streisand, Mark Knopfler, and stuff. And sometimes those are the best people because they've already got there and they're not trying to fight to get there wherever there is. And I've seen some of the worst people I can imagine traveling with are some of the bluegrass bands that haven't even been established maybe a year or two, and I think it's just because they're expecting it to be so much more. They're looking at being on Bean Blossom as being the same as being at the Forum or whatever, and it's not the same. And all these people, just because they're in a different spot, a different I guess, not only a different spot, but a different genre and stuff. Sometimes people just take and assume that, they're not nice or whatever. And it seems to me like some of the best people I have met have been the ones who have been at those bands that play the big stuff. And, they're just kind of, taken wrong just because, they have that job. And I've always found that it usually turns out totally different than what you think it's going to be, and that's the difference between all music. You're going to find jerks in bluegrass, jerks in pop, whatever. You're going to find that. So you can't really blame it on the genre for that, I don't think. But I still like to hear stories about people and see how they are.
It's more of a good feeling and a healing kind of thing to pass around than any kind of negative thing, because a lot of people get negative feedback over something that happened just to one person on a bad day or whatever, and it doesn't serve anybody to dwell on that.
No, it doesn't. And you worked with Guy Clark some too, didn't you?
I did several different things with Guy, including an Austin City Limits with Edgar Meyer, just the three of us back in the late 80s.
Wow. I saw Guy just a few days before he passed. I've been in cancer treatment at Vanderbilt, and there was a girl I knew that did a lot of sitting around town, and she had this guy in there in a wheelchair, and he was slumped over and wrapped up, and she said, have you met Guy Clark? I said, no, I've not met him before. I heard he's sick, and she said, over there he is, and I went over, we spoke a little bit, but he was gone not much later than that, and I just felt really bad for him. But at Vanderbilt, that's what you see down there. It's that people's down there to get well, and I've always admired his work for sure. And anyway, we're going to change things up a little bit here. I've heard some Amway stories about you.
That was something I just said that I borrowed that from Jerry Douglas, who actually is a little bit older than me and actually remembers
Amway.
Amway is a real thing. I remember hearing about it, but I think I was maybe it was different in Ohio than California, as far as Amway goes.
Oh yeah. I thought you had something about Amway because I knew you had mentioned. But what was the Jerry Douglas story? Do you remember?
Well, years ago when we do shows, like sometimes we do like if there was a lull in like the stage banter and somebody was trying to tune, Jerry would just step up to the microphone. I'd like to talk to you all about Amway. And those of us old enough to remember, that was hugely funny, and the rest of them were like, huh? Oh
yeah, they don't know what in the world that was. I had a strange about that you had told me about Amway. I had a weird thing. When I first got married, we lived in some apartments, and our next door neighbor sold Amway. So I worked during the day and come home, and I was a tea drinker and stuff. And back then, Kroger's had a line of stuff called Cost Cutter. I don't know if you remember that. Everything was yellow with black writing. If you got a Coke, it was yellow. It says
generic.
Yeah, cola, Diet Cola. All right. Well, I use this stuff called Sugar Twin, yellow box, and everything. So anyway, I come home one day and my wife told me, she says, I don't know why that tea won't get sweet. I've used 2 cups of that stuff in it. Oh, she was using the generic dishwashing liquid or dishwashing powders that she thought was that. So I had drank all this stuff. Had to go to the hospital. But it was funny. My neighbor, she says, I know this cost a little bit more, but Amway's got a dishwashing detergent where you won't make that mistake anymore. And I thought, well, I'm not going to pay $2 more for this stuff you're selling, because I'm not going. I don't plan on drinking. I don't plan on drinking poison every time I go for iced tea. I don't need that. And she said, well, it's different colors. And I thought, that's still no reason to pay $2 for that. But she's from that point, she would come over to the house all the time. Anything that happened, if you had a flat tire, hey, have you checked out Amway's new radials? It was just, everything that she could throw in there that Amway sold, I guess she was trying to sell. She finally figured out I wasn't going to buy anything from her. But
so funny.
But Stuart, man, it's been good to have you on tonight and stuff. I know a lot of folks out there have been waiting for you and excited to hear you. We've had a lot of viewers on tonight, but hope to see you out there. And I know that you did Bean Blossom last year with Ricky, or the year before, and hopefully, they're not going to have it this year, but hopefully soon that thing will get fired up, and I'd like to see you guys back up there. And if I'm still working for them, I'll get you up there. But it's been great talking to you, and
absolutely
look forward to seeing you out there on the road and stuff somewhere, or at a concert. And you take care of yourself, okay, bud?
In the meantime, everybody look out for some new country music that actually has fiddle in it that's coming out.
Man, that's great.
Just want to say, keep your ears peeled for some new Kane Brown and some new Thomas Rhett.
Oh, really?
Has a bunch of fiddle on it that I played on.
Man, that's awesome. I heard something the other day that had steel guitar in it, and it was kind of strange.
Amazing.
Yeah, I
love these little videos of black dudes chilling and listening to country records and bluegrass records and their first reaction to hearing stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking
Young
about.
Black kids. It's like, yes, I want to see that. That's really good.
I think what it is I think so much music like what you do, Bela does, Jerry, people like that. I think it's such a different thing. I think a lot of these guys who are, that play a lot of the cool stuff, a lot of the jazz, a lot of the blues and stuff, I think they hear this in these bluegrass instruments and they're not used to hearing that. And they kind of say, wow, that's pretty good. But it'd be funny if we had an entire flip that was our fan base and we just, flipped on it because, I think I'm like this. If music is good, I'm all for it. I don't pull against it just because it's got a label on it. If it's good and I like it, I think that's what it's about. And it'd be good to hear some of that stuff back in Nashville again, because the stuff I remember in the 80s, just like you, when you turn on and Skaggs was on stuff, with you was hearing the mandolin on there, you were hearing dobro and everything, and then it's changed now, and these people now that buy a lot of this commercial country, they just think, well, this is the best stuff that's ever happened. And I think if a lot of people went back and listened to a lot of the Randy Travis stuff and a lot of that music in that time, they'd really dig on that, I think. And,
well, I just got in the mail the new Alan Jackson project I was on, and it's 20 songs long.
Wow. Did you play on a lot of the tracks?
I played on all of them except 2, I think.
Well, so he's got kind of a grass thing happening on a lot of it.
It's country.
Yeah.
It's like his country records from the early 90s. It's just like that.
Man, that's good.
It's the same guys. It's all the same guys.
Man, that's awesome. I'll have to look for that for sure. It's good to see people like that making a turn on some of their stuff. I guess when they get to a certain point in their career where they're not afraid to stand up and play the stuff they like. And buddy, I'll be listening to that, Stuart. You always keep the music good. When I hear you or Flux or any of those guys in a song, I know it's going to be good. So you keep that up and get us some good stuff back down there. We need it. And
I'm doing all I can.
well, buddy, we're supporting you. We can't send you money, but we can support you. So you hang in there and just to keep doing it. But Stuart, thanks a lot, buddy.
I'm glad for any mail, even hate mail. It could encourage me to be better.
Well, I didn't read you any of the hate mail tonight, but
Okay, well,
you only got
just to know that it's out there is enough.
well, you only got a couple of pieces, and they weren't really bad. But I won't say. I can't say this on. Well, I will. Somebody had wrote. Was Stuart Duncan the guy that plays fiddle on A Country Boy Can Survive? And you did, didn't you? That's a joke. That's a joke. I knew you didn't. I guess it was Hank Williams, wasn't it? Hank Jr. I don't think.
No, wouldn't that be Vernon Derrick?
I guess it was, but I think they were joking you about that. I think they. I think that's a joke. But we'll say
they could pick worse people to compare me to. I'll have to say.
Well, that's funny. But you didn't get too much, buddy. I don't think you're ever going to get any hate mail from anybody except maybe Larry Sparks, since you abandoned him. But that's the way it goes. But you have a good.
I think he really was trying to do me a favor.
Well, I guess he did. Or it's good that you're. It's good you're where you are and not riding around on the Ramblers bus. Now, I like Larry's music a whole lot, but I know Larry and stuff. And I'm going to tell you something interesting about Larry real quick, and I'll let you go, but I swear this is true. We played a festival with Larry, and Larry usually, you know how Larry is, he usually will avoid you or he'll say very little. So it was raining that day pretty hard, and we were coming off stage with I guess it was JD or somebody, I don't know. No, it wasn't JD. It'd been later, but we're coming off the stage there, and it's raining. And Larry grabbed me by the arm, stopped me, and we're there in the rain. He's got his hair all fixed in his suit, and the rain just was raining on us. It wasn't too bad at the time, but Larry stopped me, and he knew I'd been battling cancer. And Larry said, hey, boy, said, I want you to know that I've been praying for you. And I said, well, thanks, Larry. And he says, no, I want you to know what I mean by that is I really do it. Said, I pray for you every day. And I told him I appreciated it. So Larry, we're there, and Larry starts preaching to me. And, it was stuff that I needed to hear at that time, and he preached, and it got raining more, but nobody noticed. And next thing we knew, I looked around. There's probably 70 or 80 people that was gathered around us, listening to Larry preach. And Larry, at the very end, when we were done, it was like snap. We realized it was raining, and we were all soaked. Larry was soaked, but Larry still wanted that time to tell me that he was thinking about me and praying for me. And, I joke around about Larry a lot, and we all joke around about everybody. They probably joke around about us, the younger guys, but except they don't joke around about you. But, it meant a lot when you see somebody like that you've only seen this side of them that, is sometimes a calloused side or whatever.
Yeah.
But
that's a side that I didn't get to see during my time.
Yeah,
and so that's a beautiful thing.
So. Yeah, it really is. It's neat. But I had a whole lot of different respect for Larry after that, and I used to book Larry, but I never got to know him because Larry wouldn't let you know him very good. And this was just a whole different thing, and something I'll always remember from that. But buddy, I kept you a little too late tonight. Kept you over 15 minutes, so I'll go down to the Musicians Union. They'll have you a check for 15 minutes. I don't know what scale is now, but go down there and get it. And should be there. But buddy, you have a good night, okay? Thanks for calling in, Stuart.
Phil, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, same here, man. Appreciate you.
We'll see you.
See you, bud. Bye.
Bye.
There we go. Great to have Stuart Duncan on tonight. I hadn't ever talked to him a whole lot at once. We do it a lot in passing and stuff. And, I had to learn a lot. I had to learn a lot about him tonight. I still didn't know everything going in, but he's just done so much stuff, for us musically, and he's really put a fiddle out front there and all the stuff he's on. And, maybe some of the people that listen, some of the country stuff and say, I like that fiddle, they'll go over and find him, on some other stuff. And that all helps right there. So anyway, it's good to have him on tonight. And I thought I would have us a next week guest, but he did not call in tonight. So, oh well. I'm going to go down through our list here. Mark Eaton said just T-Bomb Burnett guitar, and also Allison Krause and Robert Plant tour. Yep, that was a good one. And Randy Brewer, West Liberty, Kentucky, may have been his first show with Larry. I know Larry used to play over there a lot, so there's a good chance on that. I played there a few times myself. And Rex Webb, this man can put back together crushed fiddles too, such talent. Oh yeah, let's see, let me read that right. This man can put back together a crushed fiddle too. Oh yeah, he knows how to work on those things, and he knows how to crush them. He can play. And let's see, Randy Brewer said Stuart was driving a reddish VW bug and pulled in behind me before the show. I tell you a funny one about Stuart. Stuart came and he played on one of the Grasstown sessions, and we got finished and we went out there, and he'd bought him a Mercedes, and had had it a while. Wasn't a brand new one, but we were out there looking at it, and we noticed he had one tire that didn't look very good, and said, Stuart, you need to go get that checked. That's gonna pop, I think. And he said, well, I put that on a couple of years ago, and said I don't drive the car a whole lot of places. So anyway, we got talking and stuff, and said, have you had them rotated or anything? And he said, I need to go in and get the oil checked and everything like that. And I said, when did you have the oil checked in it last? And he said, I don't know, maybe a year or so, maybe longer. And I remember me and Alan Bobby and Steve Gully just looked at each other, and Gully said, Phil, don't say anything about his maintenance skills. He's the best fiddle player in the world. And I said, yeah, okay, I wasn't going to. But that was funny. We went out there, and it was like, yeah, if you can play the fiddle, that's all you need, Stuart. Let's see who else is on here. Brian Ayers always said bluegrass is hillbilly jazz, and that's the most amazing musicians. Yeah, I agree with that. There's some really good ones in bluegrass. And Brian Ayers said the two of them here tonight. Well, one of them was. I appreciate you, buddy, saying that. I know Stuart is, but thanks a bunch. I gotta tell you one thing I gotta do. I gotta quit messing with this mic, but I've got to get back and get going and get my chops back up where I've been inside during the pandemic. And I think a lot of people have been like that. A lot of people have not practiced as much or anything, and I'm trying to get back and get myself in gear. And it's hard with no shows because, the thing I do is kind of a little thing on the side. But I will mention before I go, we finished up the Dobro record. It's called the Masters of Slide, the Spider Sessions. 24 players on that. So that's going to be a good thing. It's going to be out on Mountain Home. And I hadn't had a chance to mention that I'd changed labels, but I'm with Mountain Home now. Crossroads Music, great company. I was impressed the minute I pulled up to the building, and was impressed with how quick they got on this to get it out. And I'm just real happy to be there at Mountain Home and Crossroads. So look for this Dobro album about middle think they're saying about middle June. That's not going to be too long. But we're working on it right now pretty hard, trying to get it all together. Got everything done, just doing some artwork and getting it all pieced together, and we'll be good. But I'm going to let you guys go. It's good to talk to you. Well, not really talk to you. I talk to you from the side, but I always feel, comfortable asking me questions. I love to, I love to answer them, and it helps me with my show. So anyway, I'll be back next week, and if you'll watch my web page or my Facebook page, I will know who I'm going to have probably in the next couple of days. So just keep an eye on that, and God bless you. Take care of yourself, and hopefully we'll be out at some festival this summer. Thank you. Bye-bye.